They say there was once a land stretching across the ocean, a place lost to time called Kumari Kandam, an ancient kingdom that might have been home to one of humanity's oldest civilizations. Then, one day, it vanished, swallowed by the ocean in a disaster that no one saw coming. For centuries, Tamil stories spoke of this vanished continent, a world that thrived with art, science, and culture before disaster struck. But was it a myth? Some call it fantasy. Others think there's a truth buried in these legends, pointing to a forgotten chapter of human history. And if that's true, what happened to it all these years? Could pieces of this vanished world still lie beneath the water, waiting to be found? Or was it all just a story to explain something we can't remember? There's a story about a lost civilization, one that's been retold for thousands of years. It's popularly called Kumari Kandam, a mythical land said to have been the heart of an ancient Tamil civilization, filled with culture, language, and artistry. According to Tamil folklore, this land once stretched south of India and was home to advanced societies. But, like the tale of Atlantis, Kumari Kandam supposedly met a tragic fate when a massive flood wiped it off the map, leaving barely a trace behind. What's fascinating is that this isn't just a story pulled out of thin air. Back in the 19th century, European and American scholars came up with the idea of a lost land called Lemura to explain similarities in geology between Africa, Madagascar, Australia, and India. But Tamil revivalists took that idea a step further. Drawing on ancient Tamil and Sanskrit texts, they connected Lemura to their own stories of a lost land, one ruled by the Pandyan dynasty, where their ancestors lived before the ocean swallowed it whole. In the early 20th century, the idea of Kumari Kandam evolved further. Tamil writers took the name from the 15th century Tamil epic Kanda Piranam and swapped out Lemura for something that felt closer to home. In doing so, Kumari Kandam became a symbol of Tamil pride, a lost continent that gave birth to the Tamil language and tradition. Tamil revivalists claimed that this land was home to the very first Tamil literary gatherings, or sangams, led by Pandyan kings. Some folks even say that the Pandyan rulers used to have control over all of India, and that Tamil culture was around way before some of the oldest civilizations we know today. Even though modern science shut down the idea of Lemuria with the theory of plate tectonics, basically explaining that continents drifted apart over millions of years, the legend of Kumari Kandam is still very much alive in Tamil culture. Many Tamils view it not merely as a myth, but as a symbol of a lost history, similar to how Atlantis is regarded in Western culture. But that's not where the story ends. According to Tamil legends, when Kumari Kandam sank beneath the ocean, its survivors didn't just vanish. They spread out across the world, influencing other human civilizations. There's also another layer of the Kumari Kandam legend, the link to Adam's Bridge, also known as Rama's Bridge or Rama Setu. This chain of limestone shoals stretches about 18 miles across the Palk Strait, connecting India and Sri Lanka. And it's a spot that's fascinated both historians and scientists. At first glance, it looks like a natural formation, just a quirk of geology. But then, satellite images from NASA showed something that made people stop and think. It almost looked like a submerged bridge. Now, according to ancient Hindu texts like the Ramayana, this isn't just some random rock formation. The legend says it's the very path that Lord Rama and his army of Vanaras, or monkey warriors, built to reach Lanka. The story goes that Rama, with the help of his local allies, constructed this bridge to cross the sea and rescue Sita from the demon king Ravana. It's an incredible feat, a bridge spanning the ocean, supposedly built in record time by a mix of divine and human effort. But what's fascinating is how this legendary bridge ties into the story of Kumari Kandam. Tamil cultural revivalists believe that Adam's Bridge might be a remnant of an ancient Tamil civilization, a civilization that once spanned vast lands and seas. The theory goes like this: if there's some truth to the story of Rama's bridge, then maybe Kumari Kandam was part of this larger landmass that connected regions beyond the bridge itself. Even today, Adam's Bridge is a hot topic, full of debates between scientists and historians. Some argue it's a natural formation, shaped by ocean currents and sediment, while others suggest it could be one of the oldest man-made structures, a marvel of ancient engineering. But for many Tamil people, this bridge isn't just a geological puzzle. It's a relic, a thread connecting them to the mysterious waters of their heritage, and the possibility that Kumari Kandam was very real. And they even have proof of it. Let's take a blast into the past for a second. Across ancient Tamil and Sanskrit literature, there are whispers of a South Indian land swallowed by the sea, a place linked to lost cities and cultural origins. One of the earliest mentions comes from Nakirar's commentary on Erayanar Akaporal, a work dating back to the late 1st millennium CE. Nakirar talks about katakol, or ocean seizure, which sounds a lot like a tsunami that devoured Pandyan territories. But this wasn't just any land. It was where the Pandyan kings hosted the first sangams, or literary gatherings, that became the bedrock of Tamil culture. So whether you see it as history, mythology, or somewhere in between, the story of Kumari Kandam and Adam's Bridge may very well be connected. According to Nakarar, the first sangam lasted an unbelievable 4,400 years in the fabled city of Ten Madurai, or South Madurai. But then, nature happened. The ocean rose and swallowed Ten Madurai whole, along with countless works of art and knowledge. Undeterred, a second Sangam was born in a new city, Kapatapuram, where 59 poets kept Tamil culture alive for another 3,700 years. But once again, the ocean claimed it. Finally, the third Sangam found its home in Uttara Madurai, or North Madurai, and held out for another 1,850 years. Now, fast forward to the 19th century, European scientists started theorizing about a lost continent called Lemura to explain similarities in plant and animal life across India, Madagascar, and Africa. And this theory got its name thanks to Philip Sclater, an English zoologist who proposed that a massive landmass once connected these regions before sinking into the ocean millions of years ago. In 1873, this idea even made its way into Indian geography textbooks, sparking a fascination among Tamil scholars. 12 years later, Charles D. MacLean was connecting Lemura directly to Tamil history, proposing it as the birthplace of Dravidian culture. With support from thinkers like Ernst Haeckel, who believed Asia might have been the origin of humanity, Lemura began to transform in Tamil intellectual circles. Soon, this submerged continent was reimagined as Kumari Kandam, a Tamil homeland that existed before time. In Tamil Nadu, the idea quickly gained momentum. By 1908, Kumari Kandam was introduced in college curricula, with Madras University featuring texts by Suryanarayana Sastry that highlighted this connection. Then came Paralingam Pillai, Kandish Pillai, and others, each weaving the Kumari Kandam story deeper into Tamil identity. By 1971, Tamil Nadu's government even formed a committee to document Tamil history, marking an official embrace of Kumari Kandam. A decade later, textbooks still included it, portraying this lost land as a powerful symbol of Tamil heritage. Some have even called Kumari Kandam the Atlantis of India. While we're all familiar with the legend of Atlantis from Greek mythology and the movies, Kumari Kandam tells a similar story, one of an advanced civilization that flourished and then suddenly disappeared. Is there some truth to this? Well, that's what you're about to find out. The story of Kumari Kandam doesn't just end with Nakirar. The ancient Tamil epic Silapathakaram by poet Elango Vadigal continues where Nakirar left off. He describes a mighty land once ruled by 7 main kings and 49 vassal kings, and it had 2 major rivers, Pairuli and Kumari, that flowed through it, nourishing the region south of what we now know as Kanyakumari, or the southern tip. Some geological studies suggest that sea levels were much lower around 14,500 years ago, by up to 150 meters. Even about 10,000 years ago, sea levels were still around 100 meters lower than they are now. This means that areas we now consider underwater might have once been above sea level, and there could have been land bridges connecting India to places like Sri Lanka, and possibly even to Africa. Over time, as the Earth warmed and the ice melted, sea levels rose, and it's possible that floods or tsunamis could have submerged entire regions, including Kumari Kandam. To make things even more interesting, Conal MacNeil-Kale, a geologist from Oxford University, suggests that the Indian Ocean might still be hiding what's called microcontinents, small submerged pieces of land. So, while we can't say for certain that Kumari Kandam was real, the geological evidence suggests that there could be some truth to the idea that ancient lands once existed in the area, now lost to the sea. Marine archaeology also offers some intriguing clues. In the 1980s, the submerged ruins of Pumbagar, an ancient Chowla port city, were discovered off the coast of Tamil Nadu, hinting at a real history beneath the waves. Then, in 2002, underwater explorations near Mamallapuram revealed structures resembling dockyards, thought to date back to the last ice age, around 11,000 years ago. While these findings could suggest evidence of an ancient Tamil-speaking land now lost under the ocean, some Tamil scholars argue these discoveries were overshadowed or neglected, perhaps due to a national focus on Sanskrit heritage over Tamil history. Seeking further answers, Tamil scholars and enthusiasts have called for public interest litigations in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry's high courts to advocate for continued research. They see these petitions as a path forward toward reopening marine archaeology efforts, which were abruptly halted without a clear reason. Just as sites like Adi Chanalur and Kishadi have been explored, many believe that Kumari Kandam deserves the same attention, to finally unearth the truth of its existence. Then we have the purists, the people who completely believe Kumari Kandam wasn't just an ancient land, it was an isolated utopia, a society free from the influence of outside forces. They assert that, unlike modern Tamil society affected by Indo-Aryan influences like the caste system and certain superstitions, Kumari Kandam is often imagined as a pure, untainted Tamil world. Some theorists say that this land was free of the upper caste Brahmin influences tied to Indo-Aryan heritage. This separation from the rest of the world, they believe, explains why Kumari Kandam lacked the divisions seen in later Tamil society. Former chief editor of the Tamil Etymological Dictionary Project suggested that Kumari Kandam may have existed around 50,000 BCE and submerged around 16,000 BCE using dating methods taught by his mentor Devanaya Pavanar. Although dates like these are hard to substantiate, they reinforce the idea that Kumari Kandam was an ancient and uniquely Tamil civilization, existing in isolation from the rest of the world for thousands of years. Tamil revivalists argue that the lack of scientific or historical evidence might be due to its isolation. However, some Tamil texts from the later Sangam periods show Sanskrit terms, suggesting outside influence. This has led some scholars to argue that the purity of Tamil culture was diluted over time. Then we have the connection to South India. Another faction of believers say that Kumari Kandam isn't just a tale of a submerged land, but also holds a deep connection to modern-day South India. They claim a direct connection to Kanyakumari, a coastal city at the very tip of Tamil Nadu. These believers also argue that Kanyakumari and even all of Tamil Nadu were once part of this ancient landmass. Some even push further, suggesting that the whole southern Indian peninsula, or even all of India, was connected to Kumari Kandam, making the Tamil people indigenous to this vast land. During the British era, Kanyakumari was part of the state of Travancore, which later merged into Kerala. But Tamil leaders argued fiercely that Kanyakumari should belong to Tamil Nadu, and Kumari Kandam played a central role in this campaign, and they might be onto something here. You see, the legend of Kumari Kandam is one of those fascinating stories that blends history, mythology, and a strong sense of cultural pride. But it all really started picking up steam back in 1903 when Suyanarayan Sastry wrote about it in Tamil Moliyan Varalaru. He suggested that the ancient Tamils of Kumari Kandam were the ancestors of all humanity. Soon, writers like M.S. Purnalinga Pillai and Maria Malai Adagal took the idea and ran with it, promoting the belief that Kumari Kandam was the original homeland of all people. By the time we get to 1917, Abraham Pandathar even took it a step further. He declared that Lemura, another submerged continent that geologists were talking about at the time, was the birthplace of humanity itself, with Tamil as the first language ever spoken. Imagine that, a sunken land where civilization supposedly began, with Tamil as the universal tongue. This idea was so influential that it even made its way into school textbooks in Tamil Nadu, embedding the myth deeply into the culture and education system throughout the 20th century. The theory didn't just fade away. In fact, it gained more traction as the years went by. In 1927, M.S. Piralingam Pillai suggested that after Kumari Kandam was submerged, its survivors moved northward, founding the Indus Valley Civilization. This wasn't just some fringe idea either. By the 1940s, N.S. Kandiya Pillai was drawing maps showing how people from Kumari Kandam supposedly spread across the world. And in 1953, R. Nadunchalian argued that the roots of civilization spread from South India to the Indus Valley and then onward to ancient cultures like Sumer, Egypt, Africa as a continent, and Greece. And in a way, there is some truth to this. Mauritius in East Africa has so much resemblance to India that you would find it hard to believe that it isn't a part of the Indian subcontinent or even Asia. The religious demographics of Mauritius are more or less the same as that of India, with Hinduism being the major religion. Heck, the currency of Mauritius is the Mauritian rupee. It has its value written in Tamil, Hindi, and English. Surinamese is another country. There is also a thriving Indian community in the Netherlands that is several centuries old. It's exactly like the Sanskrit text says, almost like a group of people migrated to certain parts of the world, stayed there, and integrated into the society so much so that a whole country that has never been to India has Tamil or Indian culture. Some even took it further, claiming that Indo-Aryans were actually descendants of the original Dravidians who migrated out of Kumari Kandam to Central Asia before eventually returning to India. Supporters of Kumari Kandam didn't just think of it as any ancient civilization. To them, it was a highly advanced society, the pinnacle of human achievement before it was lost to the ocean. During the early 1900s, Suyanarayan Sastry described the pre-flood Tamils as skilled in farming, poetry, and trade, living in a democratic and prosperous society. Later writers, like Savarian Pillai, painted Kumari Kandam as a utopia, a center of learning with a deep appreciation for knowledge and culture. Sivagyana Yogi even suggested that the society was purely egalitarian, without any caste system. A tantalizing idea for those looking to the past for examples of social harmony. The idea was so captivating that it even received state support. In 1981, a government-funded documentary, backed by then Chief Minister M.G. Ramachandran, presented Kumari Kandam as not just an ordinary myth, but a scientific possibility. The film tied together the concept of continental drift and lost civilizations. It was like a sci-fi meets historical documentary, aiming to validate Kumari Kandam as a plausible, advanced ancient civilization. For many Tamil revivalists, Kumari Kandam wasn't just about lost land, it was a lost treasure trove of knowledge. They argue that the first and second Sangams actually took place in Kumari Kandam, but there's even talk of specific ancient texts that were lost when the land sank. Suyanaraya Sastri, for instance, mentioned works like Mutunarai, Mutakaruku, Mapuranam, and Putupuranam back in 1903. Abraham Pandathar added to the list in 1917, naming music treatises like Naratiyam and Parunari, along with rare musical instruments. Then, Devaniya Pavanar later expanded this list, claiming that Kumari Kandam's libraries contained everything from medicine and martial arts to architecture and mathematics. Back in the 1900s, there was even a claim by Chidambaranar that he found an old manuscript on palm leaves, which he said was from the first Sangam at Ten Madurai. This text is attributed to someone named Mutaluli Sentar Tanayur, who supposedly told the tale of King Sengan of Peru Valanatu, a kingdom that lay south of the equator. The story described King Sengan as a powerful ruler with warships that reached as far as Tibet. However, this manuscript named Shinkanrariya Shilevu was dismissed as a forgery in the 1950s by S. Vayapuri Pillai. Nonetheless, it didn't stop Tamil revivalists from referencing it. The 1981 documentary even called it the world's first travelogue, showing just how fascinated the Tamil people were with Kumari Kandam. But of course, not everyone buys into the Kumari Kandam story. There were critics from early on, even among the Tamil scholars themselves. Suryanarayan Sastri, for instance, was strongly against the majority. Let's find out what he had to say. Going as far back as 1897, we see one of the first big critiques from M. Seshagiri Sastri, who was straightforward about his opinion. He thought the Sangam academies, supposedly existing before a massive flood, were simply made-up stories. Sastri believed Tamil poets had let their imaginations run wild, crafting elaborate tales rather than recounting actual history. Then, in 1903, C. H. Monahan took a strong stance against Suyanarayan Sastri's work, Tamil Moliyan Varalaru. Monahan didn't hold back, claiming that Sastri was straying from science and diving headfirst into mythology. He argued that Sastri chose to entertain legends over sticking to solid historical research. Not long after, K. N. Sivaraja Pillai, writing in 1932, also joined the chorus of critics, calling for a careful verification of Sangram texts and their commentaries before making bold historical claims. Moving to 1956, we have K. A. Nilakanta Sastri, a highly respected historian, who outright dismissed the Kumari Kandam theory, calling it all bosh. Sastri was blunt about it. He argued that the massive geological events believed to have swallowed this land would have happened millions of years ago, well outside the scope of human history, which only spans a few thousand years. A decade later, in 1966, historian N. Subramanian took the criticism a step further, referring to the Kumari Kandam legend as an example of what he called anti-history within Tamil Nadu. Subramanian found it puzzling that despite modern education, so many Tamils still clung to myths like Kumari Kandam. He suggested that the ancient Tamil stories about lands lost to the sea probably referred to a much smaller area than a vast lost continent, something akin to a present-day district that might have disappeared around the 5th or 4th century BCE. Finally, K.K. Pillai brought up a similar line of thought. He pointed out that some Tamil writers might have misinterpreted the idea of a southern Tamil land lost to a flood by tying it to Lemurian theories. According to Pillai, even if Lemuria or a similar landmass had existed, it would have been in a time frame far, far earlier, toward the end of the Mesozoic era. This would have been way before humans ever appeared, making it nearly impossible to connect Lemuria to the supposed age of the Tamil Sangram. The truth is, I can't really decide on this one. On one hand, we could say Kumari was a lost Tamil homeland, swallowed by the ocean, and there is proof to support that notion, so much so that they teach about it in schools. On the other hand, it could be just a powerful tale shaped by imagination and ancient records. At the end of the day, it's up to you to decide. History is packed with mysteries that sit right on the edge of fact and fiction. But whether you believe in Kumari Kandam or not, something about these stories stirs our curiosity and makes us feel connected to something bigger, perhaps even ancient.